Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Road Trip. I'm Jess and I'm here at Milton Community Centre where I'm going to be reviewing the Abarth 500. But before we look at this small car, let's look at some even smaller ones. I'm here at the Cambridge Radio Control Car Club to find out a little bit more about these fun little racing cars. We're going to talk to John from the club to find out a bit more about how you can get involved.
But the club has been going more than 10 years, and we would encourage anybody that has any interest in model car racing to come along and have a look what we do. You don't need to have a car to come along and see what we do. It's much better actually to come along and see what we race, see how we race. We can give you some tips if you're interested. We'll even let you have a go and then give you some buying advice so you spend your money wisely. So we race two classes of cars. 1/10 scale touring cars, which are the larger of the two classes we race, which are quite sophisticated. We also race GT12 cars, which are simpler cars. They have a limited construction rules and they tend to be cheaper and more suitable for beginners. So we race on Sunday mornings mostly. We run a miniature race meeting. So we start with qualifying heats and then we run through into finals, and there's a winner of each race. And then different parts of the year we hold a series of races where we run a number of races over a number of weekends and count up points in the championship format.
So this is a Schumacher MI4. They come as kit form, which comprises of everything except the electronic components.
And so if you wanted to upgrade components of this car to make it faster, can you do that?
Yeah, you can actually. I don't know whether you can see it's got a lot of purple alloy on it. These are optional upgrade parts. They're sort of lightweight parts. And then you've got your electronic equipment as well. So you can buy different motors from different brands, which all have different degrees of timing and boost on them, and different options for going quicker. You can literally set up everything you can set up on a regular car. So you can adjust your ride height, angle of the shocks. You can also get different spring rates. But then you've got the suspension, which is like a coilover from a proper car.
How did you get into racing radio control cars?
One day we were at the beach and Ewan's dad had an off-road vehicle and I got interested in it.
My uncle, because he started at my age.
And what excites you about this?
It's kind of competitive, like it's not like we're bashing into it, it's like them people through and having fun.
You can just go around the corners how you like and it doesn't matter whether you crash.
If you get like a really good lap, you're really happy with yourself.
Any aspirations to be a racing driver in a full-size car in the future?
Yeah.
And from these little racers to another. This is the Abarth 500, and you're probably thinking that it looks a lot like a Fiat 500. Well, you'd be right. Abarth is the performance arm of Fiat, and they take a standard 500 and make it fierce. This one is the standard Abarth 500 with a 1.4 turbo engine that pumps out 135 brake horsepower which is around about 60% more than the standard 500. It will do 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds, and it's one of those cars that just completely fills you with joy. It's a hot hatch, and it's got competitors like the Fiesta ST, the Corsa VXR and the Kia Ceed, all of which are slightly more powerful, but it's the charm and the character of this car that really makes it appealing. Another thing that sets this apart from the standard 500 is the sport suspension. The front and rear springs have been stiffened by 40 and 20% respectively, meaning you get a much stiffer ride. In terms of practicality, that means it's quite bumpy in the car when you're driving, but the trade-off is that you get exceptional handling. This is the kind of car that you can throw around a corner and put all your faith in it and know that it's gonna stick. A great thing about this car, if you are going to take it on track or you do really want to push it around country lanes, is the traction control. Instead of cutting power when it feels like your wheels are spinning or you're about to slide, it will individually brake the wheel that is losing traction, which means you get less understeer, less oversteer, and you can push that little bit harder. The thing I really love about this car is the sound. When you put your foot down, it's just, I love this car. Of all the small engine turbo hot hatches on the market, this is my favourite. The Abarth just has this charm that I haven't been able to find in probably the slightly more powerful cars. The things like the Fiesta ST, it still looks like a Fiesta, which is quite a dull car, even though as a hot hatch it's amazing. But the Fiat 500 is a great car. It looks cute, it's fun, and it appeals to so many different kinds of people. And to put this turbo engine in it, and to add things like a rear spoiler and alloys, just makes it the fun, sporty car that someone like me really wants. This car has great sports seats, which really hold on to you when you're throwing the car around country lanes. The rest of the interior, however, is quite simple, but I like that. It doesn't detract from your driving experience. You've got the basic dials that do things like your air conditioning and where you want your air pointed, all the usual stuff. Then you've got your central dial in the middle that tells you your speed and your revs. And then you've got a little turbo bar on the top that tells you your turbo pressure. So when you put your foot down, you know exactly how much turbo you're using. Strangely, this car comes with a sport mode, so you have a sport button, but I still can't see why you would ever take it out of sport mode and drive it normally. The reason being, in sport mode, it stiffens the suspension and the steering and also gives you more response from the throttle. You think that this extra power would bring your miles per gallon down on your fuel. It doesn't. When you drive this in normal mode, you actually use more fuel. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's the case, and it's a good excuse to leave it in sport mode and have some fun and get that response from the car when you want to drive fast. In terms of efficiency, you'd expect a little hot hatch like this to be okay on fuel, but maybe not to be spectacular. The official stats will say that it does a combined MPG of around 35. However, I've been driving this car for about 6 months, and I average 40 miles per gallon even with my heavy right foot. Another thing that's great about this car over the standard 500 is that when you get stuck behind a tractor or a slow-moving vehicle and it's safe to do so, you know that you can overtake with confidence. You don't have to worry about taking time to get up to speed. You can just put your foot down, you get a whoosh of that beautiful Abarth engine, and you're past, and no worries. The basic price of an Abarth 500 is £14,660, which, when you're looking at a hot hatch, that's very cheap compared to its competitors where you'll find 1.6 turbos at around the £20,000 mark. All in all, if you're looking for a hot hatch that sounds great, performs well and has fantastic grip, but you also want something that has tons of character and charm, then the Abarth, either the 500 or the more powerful 595 or 695, you can't go wrong. And I think I'm a little bit biased about this car considering I own one, but I would recommend it to anyone who's looking for something, be it a track day car or just something a bit more exciting that they can throw around the country lanes near them or use on a road trip or something like that. I hope you've enjoyed our review of the Abarth 500. Thank you so much to the Cambridge Radio Controlled Circuit Car Club, and thank you to you for watching. Until next time, see you on Road Trip.